Hey everybody, it's Dalton. I want to go over a video today, some questions that I've had over time, and like I say, I want to start addressing more of these questions. And I said in the video before, I was guilty of not doing that. I'm fixing that. I'm making a list of things, and today I want to talk about rods, reels, and line, and why I use the ones that I do. Now this morning I got on a pretty good bite here at Lake Nacimiento. The only problem was, goodness gracious, I could not get away from small fish. I'll just show you a little bit of it. Alrighty. Yeah. They're just hanging right off that break where they drop off deep. This one's better. Yeah, I know they're small. Goodness, there's a whole bunch of small fish over here. Well, kind of the beginnings of the river end. Got me a spotted bass here on a spinnerbait. Now with that being said, they're biting really good out here, but here's where I'm struggling. I have been fishing at San Antonio quite a bit more. Mid to late part of this summer, and it's because I've been catching really good quality largemouth bass. So when I come over here, I catch numbers of fish, which means I'm going to wind up catching a lot of small fish, which is okay normally. But when I'm doing so well catching more quality fish, fishing the way that I like to fish, dragging worms and jigs and things like that, I'm gonna go back out to San Antonio. I just got to take advantage of that bite for as long as it's gonna last. I really enjoy it out there, and I'm just trying to get more quality fish. Now, with that being said, though, you're coming out here to Nacimiento, the fish are biting like crazy. It's a very active lake. There's no issues with that. So, let me tell you a little something. I was watching a video here recently by Richard Jean, the Fishing Machine. That is my favorite channel. Now he's out at the, he's either around 10, well he lives in Alabama, but he's fishing somewhere over there in a creek, and he's wading the creek, catching some really nice smallmouth bass. He was talking about a rod that the rod he was using, and this is one of the reasons why I like him so much. He was talking about the rod he was using, and he had bought two of them. They were both Berkeley rods, and he paid $14 a piece for each rod, and they're two-piece rods. He talked about how much he absolutely loves those rods. They're super light, super sensitive, and he was catching some nice fish with them. And it just goes to show that what you use in fishing has a lot to do with preference. See, for me, if this rod feels good in my hand and I've got good sensitivity and I'm catching fish with it, it's a good rod. It's not always how much I've spent for the rod. Example, if I buy a $500 rod, I already know that if I buy a $500 rod, it's going to be a whole lot more sensitive than this one. I get that. The only thing is, I don't feel I need a $500 rod. So I've always stayed sort of middle of the road. I'm kind of that mid-range guy. With that being said, most of my rods are going to cost anywhere between $100 and $150 for a bait caster, and roughly the same for a spinning rod. So that's right around what I spend for a rod. For reels, it's going to range a little bit. I may spend $100, I may spend $180. It's going to be somewhere in there depending on the technique that I want to use that reel for. Once again, all boils down to preference. It's what you want to do, it's what gives you confidence, it's what you feel good about. So let me run through some of the rods that I use, what I use them for, and why I chose those rods. So this one right here, I'm just going to start with one of my small spinning rods. This is a Daiwa Laguna. It's just a little 6'6" rod. I bought it for crappie, but I use it for bass all the time. This is a little Daiwa reel, and I'm not sure, oh, it's a Revos. And what I put on there today was I made a drop shot, or I put a drop shot on with 6-pound test, one of my drop shot baits, a real lightweight. And even though I didn't do much drop shotting today, I had this set up for drop shot, but I use it a lot for really super duper light line. I think I paid about $70 to $80 for this entire setup, and it's been a great little setup for me. Let's talk about the other spinning rods. Now, As you guys know, if you followed the channel for a while, I was really into the Okuma EVX rods. That's pretty much what I was using. What happened is Okuma discontinued that line of rods, so you know, I just use the ones I have left. You can't get them anymore. Now I got to find something to replace that, and I have found something that I'm very happy with to replace that Okuma, and this is called a Daiwa Tatula XL. This is a $99 rod. I buy them in spinning rods and I buy them in bait casters. I like this rod. Very light, very sensitive, feels really good. I use this rod typically. What I do now, the reel I'm using is a Daiwa Fago. Okay, I really like this reel as well. Typically I'm going to put 8-pound test braid backing. I like Suffix 832, so I take 8-pound test braid backing, tie fluorocarbon leaders. My fluorocarbon of choice, almost 100% of the time, almost, is Suffix, or not Suffix, but Seaguar Invizix. So Suffix 832 for braid, Seaguar Invizix for fluorocarbon is typically what I do. I throw all kinds of stuff on these. I've got a little 1/4 ounce swim bait on here. I've got a wacky rig on there. I drop shot. Sometimes I'll load them up on a Texas rig. You know, they're always going to be medium action rods. I always want a lot of parabolic bend in my spinning rods, because for the most part these spinning rods right here are going to be for finesse. The only other spinning rod that I have that I don't have with me, but you've seen like on my last video catching bass out at San Antonio with it, is a medium heavy action rod that I put 20-pound braid on, and I use 12 to 15-pound test fluorocarbon leaders. And I love that for my Texas rig rod. I do really well with a Texas rig worm on that rod. I can skip it really good. I have good feel. I get really precise casts. And so that becomes something when I'm using a little more heavier line, but I want to use a spinning rod, and that's been a great rod. Now let's talk about some of these bait casting rods. Okay, here's one of my Okuma ones. This is an Okuma 6'8" medium action rod. I love this rod. I always like to have at least one rod that's around 6'8". One, jerk baits. I like a short rod with jerk baits. Two, small spinner baits, small crank baits. Sometimes when I'm getting close to cover, say I'm getting close to these rocks over here, a shorter rod can sometimes be a lot more precise in my casting. So once this one breaks, I will find an equivalent for this rod that's going to be a 6'8" medium action rod, and I've used this thing for so many things. I've drugged so many jigs with this. It's rated all the way up to a 3/4 ounce bait. I've drug around 1/2 ounce jigs. I've thrown bigger spinner baits. Man, this thing has been a little tank. Now the reel that I use on here is a Lew's speed spool. These were $99. Now they went to a Generation 3 Lew's speed spool. They've jumped in price. They're about I think they're around 130 bucks. This is one of them. Great reel. The only thing I'm going to tell you about this reel is I will not put braid on them anymore. I did with a couple of these reels. I put like heavier braid on them and I stripped them both out. These are not great for braid. You got to have a higher quality reel for braid. In fact, I might as well show you that. So on my braid rod, I have another EVX rod that I'm still using, a 7'1" medium action. This becomes a topwater rod, but this is where I put my heavier braid on, which is typically going to be 30 or 40-pound braid. This is 30-pound braid. Now the reel I'm using for this reel cost me about 170 bucks, but this is a Daiwa Tatula 100. So it's really good for braid and a whole lot better than those speed spools, which they have more expensive speed spools, but the ones that I buy, they're going to strip out. Here's another one of my rods. Okay, this is one of the Daiwa Tatula XL in a bait caster. This is a medium, I believe this is a medium rod. Let me look real quick. Yeah, this is a medium action rod. No, excuse me, it's a medium heavy rod. This one here I really like to throw my jigs on a lot. This is a 1/2 ounce jig. I was going to fish it out here, but I was catching a bunch of fish on those other things, so I never threw it in the water. But when I was at San Antonio last week, I was nailing them on a jig, and this is the rod I was using. Medium heavy action. Once again, a Lew's speed spool. This one here is one of the $99 ones. and 15-pound test Seaguar and Vizix fluorocarbon. It's a perfect setup for me when it comes to jig fishing. I throw big swim baits on that one. I'll throw a 1-ounce spinner bait on that one. A lot of my heavier stuff I'm going to throw on that one. Now this one here is a cranking rod I got just a few months ago. I had a cranking rod. I still have it. It's been a great cranking rod, but I knew I needed a new one. I was starting to wear that one out. I needed something for my crankbaits. I needed something for some of my smaller swim baits, like a 3/8 ounce, you know, a 3-inch swim bait or something like that. I like to use 12-pound test. I also use this rod on like 3/8 ounce jigs because that 12-pound test is really good for a 3/8 ounce jig. And the reel I have on here is one of the, well, this is one of the new generation speed spools, the Generation 3. It's an excellent reel. I really like it a lot. This particular rod, so this rod's about 150, 160 bucks, but I found it on sale for about $110, $115, and I went ahead and bought it, and I'm pleasantly surprised. Now this is an arc rod. It's called an Invoker, and it's a medium action rod, great for a number of different techniques, and I do like this rod a lot. So these are kind of the rods that I bring with me. The only one I didn't bring with me today was my medium heavy spinning rod that I've been using. I do have some other rods at home, but I take usually about anywhere from 6 to 8 rods out with me fishing, and these are the rods. And every single rod that I have, I do not want a one-hit wonder rod. Okay, for example, I do have a big flipping stick at home. It's a 7'5" Dobbins with a Shimano reel that was given to me as a gift. I haven't had anywhere to use it yet. Okay, it's a heavy duty rod. It's for heavy pitching and flipping. If I ever get in a situation like that, I've got the rod for it. But other than that, I haven't been able to figure out what to do with it. So I take all these rods with me, but all of them have multi-purpose. Any of these spinning rods I can switch around, put Ned rigs, whatever I want. Any of these bait casters, I can fish jigs and spinner baits and chatterbaits and crankbaits and swim baits, top waters. I can do whatever I want with these things because, again, I don't like buying the one-hit wonders. I like multi-purpose. Okay, and when I'm out here fishing, I don't change lures a lot. I usually know what I want to throw, but if I need to change the lure out, I'll go ahead and do it, and I'll have a rod for that lure. So that's just that's how I do it. I mean, it's pretty simple, mid-range. I don't have to have the most expensive. I don't have to have the most least expensive. I just hover right around the middle where I've been comfortable for years. I've caught a lot of fish. I have no reason to change it. Well, I hope this video helps. It just kind of lays out, answers the question, why do I use what I use? Again, you know, it's going to be the same types of rods, the same types of reels, and the same types of line. I'm pretty much a creature of habit. If I like something, I stick with it. Well, I appreciate you all. I thank you for watching the video. I'll talk to you next time.